So in addition to the big games over in England, had some big games in MLS this weekend. So a lot of surprising results. Christian was soggy and very sad on Saturday afternoon. It was gross, gross day in New York City.
Don't talk about my body like that.
How was it though? Tell us how it was to watch Evander rip your heart out. Like
NYCFC hosted the Portland Timbers, the home opener for New York City Football Club, and now you know what? It obviously. People have seen we did the 2024 NYCFC jersey campaign with Adidas, so we're like doing all these photos and videos and stuff like that. And then one of the coolest things that I've experienced in my life is walking into the Yankee Stadium team store, the NYCFC store at Yankee Stadium, and boom, I walk in with my wife and an infant son, and whose dad is right up there on the
that's awesome,
on a big banner.
But why do they got to be so close to Alexis though, man? Like right up in Alexis's like ears, like right there in the front center.
If you're at NYCFC games and you go to the team store, you will see my giant face and Alexis's giant fade and his ear. You will see it at the team store. So that was really dope. So shout out to Adidas.
Hey, very cool, man. Very well deserved. That's awesome. That's a cool thing to see, to walk in to see, especially with your family. I'm glad you had that.
Yeah,
that experience,
it was emotional to say the least. So it was very cool. And then, NYCFC, Santi Rodriguez gets the goal. We're like, let's go. First goal of the season against these Timbers in the rain. I'm like, okay, we're going to do what we did to them in 2021.
Yeah.
I know the second half, tale of two halves.
Did not go that way
because and the last and Mike, you know this. I've been talking about the Timbers the last since the beginning of the season. I'm like, they have a proper roster, and look, and bringing. Everybody was like, why are we bringing Phil Neville and blah blah blah? He failed at Miami, and there's something and I've been to Providence Park several times.
Place is great.
It is. I honestly believe, like, if you get to be a player for the Portland Timbers or you get to coach, you get the gift of a sold-out stadium every single week and fans that demand excellence. Yep. And they brought in obviously Kamal Miller from Miami, and then they also brought in the Brazil Anthony, the Brazilian guy,
which that Anthony might be better than the Manchester United Anthony.
Week in and week
Just
out.
saying.
Yeah. It is he scored the goal. He scored the first goal in the second half against NYCFC. And he had a brace 2 weeks prior. 2 weeks prior.
Yeah.
And I think they just signed a new striker as well from Club America.
They
right?
did, Cabecita Rodriguez. Yeah. So that's their DP9 that they've been missing. That's pretty much all they're missing on that squad. Neville, I feel like Neville's gotten, he was criticized a lot for what happened in Miami, but he was set up to fail, really, in Miami. They weren't signing players on purpose to allow the space for Messi and to build that whole roster. So he was doing what he was doing with a roster that was incomplete. He got the Inter Miami side with Higuain late in the season before that to be playing well. So I think he was kind of set up to fail in Miami. I think Portland's got themselves a motivated manager in Phil Neville now.
Yeah.
A manager that's going to have the backing of the fan base. At first, I know it was a little rocky, but now they're going to get behind him. This team is playing well early in the season. It's a long season, but I think Portland Timbers fans have to be excited because they're getting a brand new team with new players that are balling
Phil
right now.
Neville could be on the pitch, bro. Did you see?
He can still do it. Yeah, he can.
This was a huge moment in the game. So we're looking at this is towards the end of the game. Matt Freese clears the ball. It goes out. Phil Neville gets up off the bench. He takes a touch and passes it to Eric Williams. I forgot he was a former NYCFC player. And touches it and he goes for a quick throw in.
Yeah, it was a quickness, right? Get it to him as fast as possible.
This is like a fourth or fifth assist. You know what I mean? Like so Phil Neville actually participating in this game a little bit had an effect.
You for sure were on the sideline like, man, come on, that's too good.
As soon as it happened, I'm like, yo, bro, still got it. Like, but not only was it like a great touch, but it was like perfectly in stride. He turned his hips. Yeah. He turned his hips to get it to his player so he didn't like just trap it or let it fall to the ground. This was like a perfect
in stride.
Beautiful. And he's like, oh, perfect for the throw-in. So as soon as I saw this, I'm like, bro, I don't know if we're gonna win this game. I think we might actually lose. I was like happy we're leaving with a point. It's raining. It's miserable. And you know, but at least a first point of the season. And this, I hope, is a big turning point for NYCFC, because the comments, the post game comments from the coach Nick Cushing from Keaton Parks were the most angry and frustrated that I've ever seen a NYCFC player. I think for the most part, I don't know.
More angry than when James Sands was getting yelled at by the fans in the stadium last year. Do you remember that?
Yes. But no, I mean, angry fans, that's every week. That's not a shock. But the players themselves showing that anger and frustration, because even James Sands wasn't like swearing uncontrollably or anything like that. But the comments from Keaton Parks, which I'll pull up in a second, he essentially was saying that we can't be happy with just getting one goal. And I mean the exact quote is I think we have a lot of young guys that don't know how to play for results. We need to grind out effing results and not just bask in one goal leads and shit. So I'm not used to hearing Keaton Parks like that. He got a new contract. He is one of the more veteran players now on the team. The team is young. That's like a thing that I think a lot of fans are not not that they're not aware of it, but there is a time, there's like some adjustment period or something. And look, Nick Cushing has had a fair amount of time to figure it out. And you know, I've heard things about like what happened last season. They didn't necessarily put all the blame on the coach because their players were coming and going. Maxime Chanel left.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Gabi Pereira, injuries, players going to Saudi. Like last year was this weird year of like, they got an offer for a player, and they were like, well, we want to give the player the opportunity to live their dream and do. I'm like, what?
You're like, come on, man.
We're in the middle of a season. We're losing a lot. And like, I understand they want maybe more pay, going to Saudi or whatever. But it's like, the team lost a lot of chemistry, leadership. And obviously the Maxi Morales injury didn't help at all. But this and look, and credit to the Timbers, because that second half they absolutely dominated, and that goal from Evander was
banger,
unbelievable. Insane. I literally, I'm watching. I'm like, it's now MLS stadiums. Now they show the stoppage time. Before it used to stop at 90, and then only the ref knew exactly how long the game was. This 96 minutes, I see it. And then he scores that goal on 96, like 45. And I'm like, why are we still playing this game?
Especially in the rain. Nasty. You're like, bro, does the ref want to go home already?
This should have been called like after 4 minutes. They'd be like, hey, look, I understand there's 2 minutes left, but we're trying to get home.
Yeah, okay? We're trying to get out of this slop right
Christian is soggy over there.
Man was soggy. What can you even say?
Evander, that goal is world-class, man. I mean, that's a world-class goal. If you're NYCFC late in the game against a player like that, you can't give him a yard. And they gave him just that little bit of space, and that's all he needed. It's tough from NYCFC, but it's also not every player can score a goal like that in that league. And he's showing that we knew he's got the talent, and now he's starting to do it.
I don't understand why Evander would do that in front of my firstborn son. How dare he?
How dare he?
How dare he
score a world-class goal?
Does he have no shame? I don't
Poor
know.
son going his first NYCFC game. Well, at least you're preparing your son early for what this sport can do to you.
Bro, it's going to be NYCFC games and Everton games. He's going to know no peace.
Ouch. Poor kid, man. That's a poor kid.
For Mateo.
No, there will be no joy in this home.
Ever.
Okay, a couple other notable results. And I got to make sure, we've been getting some comments of some MLS fans that are like, why don't you ever talk about so-and-so team or my team, or like, I want to hear about Charlotte. And I'm like,
got a lot of people asking for Charlotte FC content. I'm like, you're the only one, Mike.
There are 49 MLS teams, okay? We don't have the time. How much time does this show's about an hour?
Yeah.
I wish I could talk about we talk about notable wild things that happen in the league. So apologies if we haven't mentioned your Charlotte.
We're about to talk about CF Montreal.
We're gonna talk about
Look at him. He's even got the jersey and everything.
Look, I whipped out the old Montreal impact. All right.
Love that.
But so yes, Inter Miami, and I know people hate. Messi comes up in this show or whatever,
Haters.
but they did play Montreal, and we mentioned Montreal last week because we mentioned we'll do our woes and uh-ohs. Okay, we'll talk about them later. But I said like Joseph Martinez going there, and Montreal looks like a solid squad. They're looking great, but they played Inter Miami. When Inter Miami is in the middle of they're resting their players because they have a big international the CONCACAF Champions Cup game coming up.
They're gonna have to do that with the team that they have and the age of the team that they have. They're gonna have to rotate for some matches. That this was a casualty for them. They almost still are able to get a point out of it late in that game, but they lose at home against Montreal.
Exactly, and so Messi didn't play in this game, but off the bench came in
Luis Suarez,
and Busquets. And look, you see the lineup, and you're like, okay, they're waiting for Nashville, because obviously that game, was a little contentious, and they were down 2-0, and they ended up tying it, and a lot of controversy. I mentioned the non-red call from Redondo. That was
Redondo, yeah. Federico Redondo is the son. Fernando Redondo was the son who played for Argentina when I was a kid.
Okay. Oh, nice. But Montreal wins this game 3-2, and there were a couple moments that were kind of wild. Obviously, Drake Callender missing that long ball, and then what was his name? Kokaro?
Yeah, Kokaro.
Kokaro, and he literally empty net, and obviously there's a couple defenders there. He really just has to have a little bit of confidence and just
a little
take a shot.
That was pretty shocking.
And you're probably scoring a goal, but he dribbles around. Callender gets back in goal, and he ended up stop. The shot ends up getting stopped, but that was a just like one of those. Nice little fun MLS moment
only see in MLS, baby. Quick, Drake Callender. You mentioned Drake Callender. Real quick, and I know this is off topic. Is Drake Callender moved up your list for U.S. national team goalies? I think he's got to be considered now with some of the other guys not really having some success.
Yeah, I think, honestly, he has moved up because he's like one of the few playing.
True.
So that helps. I do think Matt Turner overall is still better goalkeeper.
But I think he's on the rise.
But I think so too. And look, I think when you're a goalkeeper and Messi's on your team, you're not really connecting much or whatever. But it does put this immense light on you and pressure that like, oh, okay, now I can't make as many mistakes as I could.
Right.
Or like,
and you're gonna get seen a lot more by a lot more clubs, a lot more people are gonna be just watching your matches too.
So I think that is the thing that can help elevate him to possibly a number one. If he continues to just have like unbelievable games and makes and we've seen it. We saw it in Leagues Cup. We've been seeing it already in CONCACAF Champions Cup. He's had to make some incredible saves because the Inter Miami getting rid of Kamal Miller, which is like really one of the better defenders in the league. I was concerned, especially during the preseason. I'm like, how are they gonna defend? I understand they're gonna go forward, but how the hell are they gonna defend? And they've kind of figured it out. I think Aviles has been pretty good.
Aviles to me was of all the signings they made, besides Messi, obviously. I thought Aviles was the best, pure signing from an MLS perspective. Yeah. I just watched him in Argentina. He's a stud. He's tall. He's big. He's going to be really, really good in this.
Redondo's also tall midfielder.
Yeah, which you don't really get a lot of Argentina. I'm from Argentina. Like you don't get a lot of those big, tall guys coming out of there.
He's Pogba-esque, but I think his like hero is like Busquets. So it's very similar.
That's what he's trying to model his game after.
And so I mentioned the elbow though, but we because of our show airs on Mondays and Thursdays, we don't really get too much time to talk about Champions Cup because obviously there's so much over the weekend. But that was one of the better Champions Cup games I've seen so far. I put this question on Twitter of just like there seems to be a real rivalry developing between Inter Miami and Nashville, where they have history. They've had like contentious games. Nashville usually doesn't end up on top, but the games are competitive and close. And I can't I think the Shaq Moore goal doesn't get called back. It got called back for offside. And this is, I gotta find the picture, but this didn't look offside.
No, it was real tight.
It was so close that it was just like, no, just give it to Miami. It doesn't feel like we should do this to Miami if it's this close.
People aren't gonna like you just giving more to Miami, right? Look, it's what you play in a final against the club. You play, big games against the club. It's gonna happen. And Miami's rival. Geographically, Orlando City just got beat 5-0. Sorry, bro. You gotta find a new rival, I guess.
Let me see if I can find the image, because I think in CONCACAF they do the lines like in Premier League, but I don't know if I can find it. It
was tight. It looked
unbelievably tight, and it looked like. It looked wrong. Yeah. There's no other way to put it. It looked like they had to draw the line for offside. They had to draw it because of the camera angle. They had to draw it under the Inter Miami player. And when you're drawing it under a player, you sort of have to guess where the shoulder is, and it was just like. They were like, you know what? It feels like he might be offside.
Not less straight line I've ever seen.
So look, there might be some controversy there. We'll see if it feels like this the second time around now with arrested Messi. Not arrested. He committed
He's not arrested. He's good, guys.
New TV show with Jason Bateman. Arrested Messi.
He's not involved in any shady Miami, South Florida stuff with Rolando.
I'm sure lots of people are making him proposals and offers.
Oh yeah, he's getting offers, I'm sure.
But he is going to be rested for the next game, and because when he was rubbing his hamstring in the first minute, I'm like, what's all this? Is he playing possum? Yeah. Or is he actually hurt? But no, he obviously ended up having a great game.
Yep.
The other, Lorenzo Insigne, scoring for Toronto. I forgot who they played. Why am I forgetting?
Charlotte.
Was it Charlotte?
Yeah,
it was Charlotte. Yeah.
Oh, we're talking about Charlotte.
Charlotte. You sure you want us to talk about Charlotte fans, Charlotte FC fans? Because it didn't go that well for you. 1-0, and already this season he has two unbelievable bangers. Yep.
But this was we were talking about it before we started recording. The celebration with John Herdman.
Yeah, man.
I think that was almost more notable than the goal. Lorenzo Insigne, we saw him last season arguing with fans in the stands, and people just like, I've been to Toronto several times. The Inebriati is their supporters group.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that. It's one of my favorite names.
They're no joke, man. Yeah. It's like, it's a lot of Italian people that expect a lot, especially from their Italian DP. And I'm happy to see him doing well. NYCFC plays him next, so I hope he doesn't do that well. But this is it's a nice sight to see Toronto and the fans happy with how the team's playing.
100%. Last season was an unmitigated disaster in Toronto. It's fair to call it that. Probably still being nice, only calling it that. But you needed to bring in a manager. Whoever was next this season, it was so important that they developed a relationship with John Herdman, with the manager, with Lorenzo Insigne. Sorry about that. But it's clear, and his post-game comments after, just by that celebration, which, by the way, the goal was an absolute another world-class finish. MLS bangers only, as we know. Another world-class finish from Insigne. It's something that we've seen him do with the Italian national team a ton. He runs right over to Herdman. It's an embrace, a genuine embrace. Herdman even grabbed his face. He almost looked like he was about to give him a big fat kiss. Like, I love you. You know what I mean? And then after the match, talked about how he has a very open relationship with Insigne. He listens to Insigne quite a bit when it comes to tactics. Okay. He even said as much as, look, he's been around and forgotten more football than I've coached. He said those words.
Wow.
So the fact that relationship is like this, he even went on to say that he texts Insigne more than his wife. So that's pretty interesting. But you'd love to see it if you're a Toronto fan. To get the best out of this guy, you need to be on his side. You need to listen to him, because if not, we're going to be just like last year, where he was disconnected. There was a ton of issues at training that were reported about. So I think that it's really turned the right direction for Toronto. You're seeing that. Look, these new coaches in these new spots, Neville in Portland. And you're seeing it now with Herdman in Toronto. They're having results because they're changing the culture of things around.
Yeah. We had CJ Sapong on the show, and then that came up about the vaping.
I saw it. That was fantastic. That was fantastic.
And that was so, maybe Herdman is like, everybody vapes.
You can all vape. No, it's all right. Just play hard.
We're not going to have any,
Everyone's like, yo, you mind if I hit that real quick?
No limits.
Let me try that flavor, please.
No limits on vaping.
Yo, you got mint jewel? You got a mint jewel?
So, so it's great secret. Look, because John Herdman, even after, he left the Canada managing position, and everybody's like, okay, well, why would he leave that for just going to a club? But then it's like, then you hear the stuff going on with Canada. I'm like, oh, Herdman knew something. He was like, I gotta get the hell out of here.
Get out of here. Yeah. You think like, oh, you're leaving that and you're going to Toronto with the mess that they were last year?
Right.
Like you really gotta want to out, right?
So
but he knew what he was doing.
It's great to see. I'm more than look. They're scoring some goals this season and they haven't lost, but they're defending well, and that was the issue last season.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's just Michael Bradley retiring or, maybe, having somebody with a little bit more pace in the midfield to defend. So, no, so it's great to see.